welcome to my channel. Today's video is a lot different than a lot of the other cases that I have covered, and probably the largest reason why is because it is recent. I normally cover missing persons cases, older unsolved cases, but this one is very, very fresh, and it was suggested more than any other video that I have ever done, and there's multiple reasons why I felt it was very important to cover this case. I just want to go ahead and do a disclaimer and ask you guys to please be respectful in the comments down below. Like I said, this is a new, very fresh wound for everyone involved. It's something that the family is currently struggling with, and friends and just anyone who knew this girl is struggling with this right now, and a lot of people who have just heard about the situation are heartbroken over it. So please, please, please be respectful to each other, to the family, to the circumstances down below. You guys know that's one of my biggest things on this channel, is to be respectful to people that are involved, regardless of what your opinion may be. So that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this case. The way this video is going to be set up, I'm going to state the facts about it, and then I'm going to state the theories that are going on in my own personal opinion, and then some things that we all could learn from this story and could benefit a lot of people to kind of grow from something that's happened to someone. And yeah, so if this is all over the place, I apologize, but let's go ahead and get started. So today we are talking about Kenneka Jenkins, or Kenneka Martin. I have searched her up a lot of times, obviously, and you can find her under both of those names. So she was a 19-year-old girl from Chicago, and she actually was found dead in a freezer on the 10th of September, which was not even 2 weeks ago. She was found in the freezer of the Crown Plaza Hotel in Rosemont, which is very close to Chicago. So here are the facts so far in the case. And once again, keep in mind, this is a very fresh case. There's a lot more information that I don't have, and there's a lot of information that I cannot share because there's such an overwhelming amount. So please feel free to do more research on this and let me know if there's some things that I'm missing down below, or if you just want to fill people in on the other information, because if I tried to put everything in this video, it would be hours long. So on Friday the 8th, Kenneka informed her mother that she was going to go bowling and go to a movie, and instead she actually went to a hotel party with a bunch of her friends. I've seen different timelines of when exactly she left, but I'm pretty sure it was around 11 p.m. that night. Between 4 and 4:30 a.m. the next morning on the 9th, Kenneka's mother, Teresa Martin, received a phone call from some of her friends who said that they could not locate her anywhere in the hotel. They told her that they had all decided to leave the party, and when they got down in the lobby, Kenneka realized she had left her phone upstairs. So first red flag, for some reason all of them decided to go upstairs to retrieve her phone and decided to leave her down in the lobby. They said that when they got back, she was nowhere to be found, and I'm assuming they searched for her for a while, considering there seems to be a little bit of a time lapse there. And they said they couldn't find her anywhere, and they were concerned. They said they had her phone, and they also had the keys in the car that Kenneka came with, which the car happened to be her mother's. Teresa got to the hotel by 5 a.m. and she immediately knew something was wrong. She said in the 911 phone call that the friends were acting a little bit bizarre and that this was really out of character for Kenneka. Teresa had actually just had a surgery and was recovering, and Kenneka knew that it was important that she remain responsible, bring the car back, be there for her mother, etc. So she was kind of shocked that Kenneka just kind of disappeared without saying anything to her or her friends, and no one could find her because she knew the responsibilities that she still had at home. When Kenneka's mother, Teresa, got to the hotel, she asked them, please look at the footage, or if I can look at the footage. I just feel like something's not right, and the hotel actually turned her down and told her that she could not have access to anything without a missing persons report. So she then called back 911 and was basically pleading with them to have a police officer come out and try to get the tapes, see if they could see her anywhere, because she just knew in her gut something was wrong.
911, where's the address of your emergency?
Yes, I'm at the Crown Plaza at O'Hare Airport, and I was calling because my daughter came to a party here last night, a gathering with her friends, and now her friends, they said that they left her on the front of the hotel, and she's not able to be found now. She's 19 years old.
Do you think it's possible maybe she went to one of her friends' houses, or, she's
No,
probably...
no, actually, because she had my car, called me like about 3-something in the morning. I was laying in bed. I just had breast surgery. I fought beat breast cancer, so I'm, sedated off medication early, and they telling me she out here. So once I rejuvenated, to strengthen up myself enough to get up and drive out here to look for her, once they brought me my car, I came right out here, and I came to the hotel, and I showed them a picture of her, and I asked them if they see it, and it was a lady in the lobby. And she heard me asking at the front desk, and she said it was music. She did hear music. She called the one downstairs to report the room, and come to find out it was the people next door. And when we knocked on the door, that person said that she did see my daughter downstairs with, it was like 4 of them, and it was 4 of them. And she said my daughter, she was with 3 of her friends, but her 3 friends said, which then, these kids won't tell the truth. They said that they went upstairs to get her cell phone. And when they went to get her cell phone, she was standing in the lobby, in the front lobby. And then when they came back down, she wasn't there anymore.
The one issue we have, and it's not necessarily that it's an issue, but she is an adult. She is 19 years old. Been gone for a couple hours. She's, I don't know, maybe she's, she could be somewhere with one of her friends or something, because, I mean, it is only a couple hours since you hadn't seen her, correct? Or since her friends supposedly hadn't seen her?
Correct. Let's say about 3 to 4 hours now, they said. They told me. I just want to know, is it possible that maybe they can look at the cameras and see, it's because they send the police out here and ask them to look at the cameras and see if they've seen her on their cameras around that time?
I was about to say, even if I did send an officer, it would take a little bit in order for us to get the camera footage and for us to pass it on to the detectives division.
Okay. Okay. So what would you suggest?
Well, again, the only thing I would suggest maybe just give her a couple hours. She could have went somewhere with one of her other friends. I mean, and who knows what her friends are saying is true, you know what I mean?
This is where another thing kind of goes wrong. She was, based off the phone call, which I'm not going to be able to put the whole thing in here because it's way too long. I will link it down below. She told them something was not right. She said that her daughter is not one to drink a lot and she does not handle alcohol very well. She said that she could tell from the phone call with the friends that there had been drinking involved, and so she was genuinely concerned for the well-being of her daughter. If you are not aware, I want to clear up a common misconception that there is no rule whatsoever at the time period you have to wait to file a missing persons report. I know there's a lot of miscommunications and misinformation out there where people think they have to wait like a 24-hour time period or a 48-hour time period, and that is completely false. A lot of the times police would rather you wait when it is someone who is 19 years old, someone who is considered an adult, because it is very likely at this point that they've run away, they just aren't contacting the parents back. So if you feel something is wrong, like her mother in this situation, really push. And I'm not faulting her mother in any way, shape, or form, because she was just doing the best she could, and the police were telling her over and over again, just go home and relax for a little bit. Just go home and wait it out. They were telling her to remain calm pretty much and not think too much into it, and she was just trying to do what they said. And as police, majority of us trust them, and they know better than us majority of the time, like ways to react to situations. However, I will say, the person you're reporting better than probably anyone does. So if you do feel something is wrong, push, and they will file a missing persons report. After hours of waiting, they decided enough was enough, and her sister decided to go ahead and put in a missing persons report, and the search began for her at 1:15 p.m. the next day on the 9th. And this is what kind of starts to get to me. Police looked over the footage once at around 3 to 4 p.m. that day, and the hotel had already sent people out to search all of the public areas, and all the searches came back with nothing. The police said that they didn't see anything on the footage. They could not find Kenneka, so everything just kind of felt off. And so the mother started begging and pleading with someone to please just look over the footage one more time. And from what I know, there's one officer who felt really terrible for her and decided to go back and look at the footage around 10 p.m. that night. And he immediately saw Kenneka. So why the police didn't see her the first time, I don't know, especially since they knew the location where the girl was supposedly left, the lobby. That should have been, in the time frame that they called the mother, that shouldn't have been too much of a time frame for them to look in the lobby, find her, and then see where she went. But apparently, that's not the case. Teresa was then informed that Kenneka was seen kind of stumbling around the lobby area at around 3:20 in the morning. She appeared to be extremely intoxicated. The reason why this gets to me is that I have personally looked it up, and this is an airport hotel. 98% of the time, airport hotels are 24 hours because flights get in at all different times, and there's not really a cutoff because people might come in from a flight and need somewhere to sleep, regardless of what time it is during the day or night. So after fact-checking, there is a 24-hour check-in, there's 24-hour lobby services, there's 24-hour shuttles. So to me that says someone saw her extremely intoxicated staggering around in the lobby, yet no alarms were really raised when a mother showed up saying her daughter was missing. I feel like if I saw a young girl stumbling around as intoxicated as the surveillance videos showed her being, I would remember that. And if a mother came in concerned, I would immediately be like, okay, something is not right. This girl was stumbling around, but apparently nobody saw her, which I find hard to believe. The surveillance footage also showed her, you know, stumbling through hallways, going on the elevator 1 or 2 times. I mean, she was all over the place. She was running into walls. She ran into the railing of some stairs, like, just seemed very lost. Seemed like she did not know where she was at. She was definitely under the influence of something, whether that be alcohol or some sort of drug. Something was not right. So this footage and what they found was enough to send out a second search. And at this time, there was actually a man who went to check the last place she was seen. And the last place she was seen was stumbling in a kitchen that was under construction. And she kind of went around this corner and then you never saw her again. The surveillance footage that they haven't released, there apparently is a man who walked to check the area where she was last seen. And shortly after, you see him running out of the kitchen and return with a police officer. And unfortunately, at around 1 a.m., she was found back in that area, dead inside of a freezer.
301, everything 10-4?
Negative. I have that subject in the kitchen in a freezer. She is frozen solid.
Now, the police told Kenneka's mother that they had found her and the state that they found her in, and obviously she was absolutely hysterical. She immediately was upset because if the police had listened to her the first time that she said something, it is very likely that they could have still found Kenneka alive. Police told her that they thought she had stumbled into the freezer on her own and just couldn't find her way out. But both the mother and her sister did not believe this in the slightest. If she was as intoxicated as they were saying, and at this point they had not seen the footage, so they didn't even know the extent of how intoxicated she appeared, they both agreed there was no way she could have opened up this double steel door to get into a freezer to begin with.
My sister didn't do that. Somebody that was trying to pretend like they was going to help her and lead her there, and she was in a double freezer. That don't add up.
So they automatically assumed there was some sort of foul play here. But once again, the police said this was just a death investigation. They did not see any sort of foul play, and they kind of brushed it off, which irritates me because the mother was right that something was very wrong the first time. They probably should have listened to her the second time around when she once again stated something was very wrong. I find this irritating because as a mother, you just have this intuition, and it is heartbreaking to know that her mother probably just had such a gut feeling that was not only ignored once, but ignored twice, and continues to still be ignored to this day.
So we studied trying begging for help. The police department couldn't even help us. After they found my baby dead, they couldn't even help us. The bastards! Oh. They couldn't even help us.
So that following Sunday, they did an autopsy on Kenneka, and I find it bizarre because it actually came up inconclusive. And they said they were also waiting on a toxicology report. The reason this raises a red flag for me is that the freezer was working. And you would assume that a girl who stumbled into a freezer on her own and passed away probably died from hypothermia. At least that would be my initial gut reaction. But somehow it came back inconclusive, which to me says that they think something else is happening and they're just not stating what yet. They could have come out and said, well, our searches are finding that there was hypothermia and that could be the cause, but we found other things that lead us to believe there could be something else, but instead they're literally saying it's inconclusive and they're just waiting for toxicology and other tests, which I find very, very interesting. They would not release the footage to even the mother for a very, very long time, any of the security footage, which I also find very odd. The mother begged to see her daughter's body, the way that she was in the freezer. They were really dismissive towards this mother. They would not let her have any bits of information. They withheld a ton from her. And while I do understand that they were trying to investigate this, if it's just a death investigation, why are they treating it so much like it's a criminal investigation, like there was a murder? They're treating it very much so like it was a murder, yet they're claiming it's something else, if that makes any sense. And that leads us to kind of what's going on now. They finally decided to release the footage, and all of social media has absolutely lost their mind. Police have interviewed 25 people so far. 15 of those were at the party. I think they said they're waiting to find another 15 people who for some reason they can't find. There were some illegal activities going on at this party, so they might be hiding. They don't want to get in trouble. And they also have 500 different tips and leads that they're trying to follow up on to see if maybe there is something more to this story. Unfortunately, there is also a lot more illegal activity going on, like I just said, in a lot of the videos that I'm going to talk to you about in just a second. There was marijuana, a lot of talk of marijuana, obviously underage drinking. The two people, there was a male and a female who got this hotel room, actually used a fraudulent credit card, so there's identity theft going on. Like, it's a big mess of a bunch of illegal activity. So now that you have the facts of the case, we are going to jump into the theories that are now circulating literally absolutely everywhere. So when I was researching this case, this was probably the most frustrating thing. People on social media are convinced that there is something seriously wrong going on here, which I agree. I do think there's something wrong going on. However, there is a line, I feel like, where you're being helpful and you're trying to point out things that are strange, and then once you cross that line, you aren't being beneficial anymore and you're actually harming the investigation. I guess the first thing that I'm going to talk about is the Facebook Live that was done by a friend named Monifa, and she went live, and a lot of people assume that the girl with the glasses and I think the pinkish red hair is Monifa. That is not. That is actually Irene, and according to what I've seen, Irene does not know Kenneka very well. Monifa is actually Kenneka's best friend. And a lot of people say that in this video, you can see a lot in the reflection of her glasses. There's a point where people say you can hear someone say, "Help me," that you can hear about someone speaking of sexually assaulting Kenneka in the background. And all I've got to say about this is that I have downloaded the video. I have sped it up, slowed it down. I mean, I've zoomed in on things. I've spent hours looking at this video, and I can't see what a lot of people are claiming to see. That does not mean by any means that it's not there. I am just simply stating that I personally have not been able to find anything. The one strange thing that I will point out about this video is that the girls that are in it appear extremely uncomfortable or shaken by something. And this video was supposedly taken right before the party ended, which would have been right before Kenneka left. And there were not many people in the room at the time. And the girls genuinely look like they're trying to not cry. Like, I know you guys know what I mean, the quivering of the lips, like when you feel like you are going to cry. I'm sure there's a lot of other things that could explain this. I'm 100% positive there are, but it does feel strange to me that the girls seem very, very upset.
So now we're going
to talk about surveillance footage issues. There was a girl who caught, I guess, the first round of footage that was released on the news. And I don't remember the exact name. I think it's like WGN9. I could be completely wrong about that, but from what I've seen, it is local to Chicago. There was footage released immediately once they decided to make public the surveillance footage, and someone actually recorded it. And people claim that in this specific video, you can see people in the background of the footage that appear to be watching Kenneka stumble around drunk and follow her. There's people who say that you see a hand pull Kenneka back to where you can't see her anymore. The girl who captured the video as well also says that you can see a reflection when she's in the kitchen of a girl with a long ponytail running away. And once again, the footage that I've seen from it is not the best footage, so it's really, really difficult to make out what this person is seeing. And I personally can't see it. And I don't want that to put doubt in anyone's minds. I want you all to create your own opinions and go watch this footage yourself. But personally, I cannot see it. Supposedly, after this footage was released, it was immediately taken down, and then a new round of footage was put up that has been edited. One thing that I do know on the footage that this woman took is of the reflection. So if I have a camera, let's pretend my phone is a camera. Let's say I'm using my camera and I am filming something in front of me, like the security camera would have been doing. There would be nothing there to create a reflection. I mean, it's literally just air. It was just the camera directly pointed at Kenneka walking through the room. So I think the reflection that she saw was a reflection that maybe was on the television screen as the other person was recording it, as maybe someone else in the household walked by. You can't see any reflection in any of the other videos, so I think that kind of debunks that whole entire reflection theory, because there's nothing there that would have created that reflection, if that makes any sense. So when the new footage was released, the next round of footage where you can't see these people in the background and you can't really see anything else, it does appear as if Kenneka is totally alone. One of the biggest issues people have with this is that you don't actually see Kenneka walk into a freezer, which I agree, you don't see her actually walk into a freezer. And the way that the camera is set up, there could easily be someone waiting around that corner for her. There could have been someone calling her or motioning to her that we didn't see, that could have potentially put her in the freezer and locked her in there. That's the biggest thing to me, is that you physically cannot see her go into the freezer, so how can you possibly trust someone saying that's what happened when you cannot actually see it? Another issue people are having with this footage is that it is motion censored, and when someone walks into the frame, there is a red box that appears around them, and that red box is basically triggered by any sort of motion. A lot of people do believe that there's another person in a lot of these frames, because you see a second box in almost every single one of these frames. My personal opinion on this is that if people were going to take the time to edit people out of this surveillance footage like a lot of people think, I would assume that they would take the time to edit out the red box, because I'm sure the red box is probably a lot easier to edit out than a full person. But what I will say is I would not totally debunk this theory of the footage being edited, because I know how easy it is to edit videos. And if you have the proper software, you can edit a person out like that. That is so not something that I'm dismissing. It's very possible. And maybe these second boxes are someone that they've decided to edit out and they just totally overlooked the fact that a second box was there. However, the one thing that I did notice that I found interesting was that the only time you ever saw the second box was when she was either entering or exiting the camera's field of vision. So that could potentially be the camera just, trying to focus on her as she's moving in the frame and out of the frame, maybe to help, the next camera pick her up, or maybe that's just how it works. I'm not sure, but that's definitely something that could be possible, at least I think so. So see a cup in the kitchen, and this I think is purely just people reading too much into it. I'm very familiar with construction, and construction was going on in this kitchen. My dad was a contractor, he flipped houses. I've been in and out of multiple different construction areas, and I swear, and this isn't even trying to be funny, the one thing that everyone leaves behind in a construction site is drink cups. I don't know what it is. I'm sure there's people out here who understand exactly what I'm saying. There's always water bottles, Gatorade bottles, drink bottles. absolutely everywhere. So to me, that's not really anything of importance because that could easily be explained by someone who was working construction on that kitchen just simply leaving that cup there. Another issue people are having with this footage is that some people think that the person in this video was not actually Kenneka. Now, this to me is probably the least likely of all the theories that people are coming up with. It looks just like her to me. Her hair looks the same, her outfit's exactly the same. People's reasoning is that this person looks a little bit larger than Kenneka is. But for anyone who's not really familiar with photography and cameras and lenses, depending on the lens used, can stretch the footage or shrink the footage. So to me, her just appearing a little bit wider doesn't really scream something is wrong. I honestly just think that's the way the camera happened to pick her up. A lot of people are saying that she was put into the freezer and then someone wanted to make it look like she walked in there on her own. My only issue with this as well is that if someone wanted to make it look like she walked in there and they were wearing her clothes, how did that come about? Did this person put her in the freezer, take all of her clothes off, somehow not manage to be seen leaving the freezer, put her clothes on, walk the whole way, and then put her clothes back on her? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, it's just, there's too much that would have been really caught in the footage for that to seem very plausible to me, so I don't think that theory is true in the slightest. Next theory is that the hotel was in on it, and this one does seem very, very plausible to me. There were a lot of illegal activities going on in this hotel during this party. Like I said, fraudulent credit card, underage drinking, huge parties with tons of people. That's like a fire hazard. There was marijuana, there was tons and tons of alcohol. There was just a lot of illegal things happening in this hotel, and if people had known that the hotel was aware of it, like they apparently did state to the mother that they heard the loud music and they didn't do anything, that could reflect very poorly on them. So I honestly wouldn't put it past the hotel to have taken the footage, altered it, trying to cover their tracks, trying to make it look like, you know, none of this had anything to do with them, like they had absolutely no idea. I totally can see how that is possible. There's a lot of people who think the hotel is in on some sort of organ trafficking and body part trafficking. That I think is a bit of a stretch. However, once again, I'm not putting anything past this hotel after the way that they reacted to the mother, after the way they acted about the whole situation in general. The hotel was very shady throughout this entire situation, so I would not put it past them to have something really weird going on behind the scenes. And unfortunately, money is worth a lot more than people, which we've seen in almost every single one of my videos, like the Rebecca Corium case, you know, big companies that are making a lot of money on cruise ships, hotels, like vacation spots. They don't want to give that money up. And if something threatens it, they will pretty much go to any length to protect themselves. So this one is absolutely plausible to me. After all, this is a 24-hour hotel, yet no one saw Kenneka stumbling that incredibly drunk in the hotel. I just find it very hard to believe that no one seemed alarmed enough by this. And as someone who, you know, just has a freaking heart and cares about people, if a mother ever came up to me in a hotel really genuinely concerned about her daughter, I would check. Like, I don't see how not one person in that hotel cared enough about this mother who was horrified that something had happened to her daughter to check anything. Like, how did not a single person in that hotel care enough or have enough heart to just check really quick? I mean, she had enough of a small time frame to where they could have easily seen where she went in that time period and not a single person gave a shit. There's just so many weird things happening here. There are so many crazy theories, and honestly, I think social media has done a great job in pointing some things out, but on the other hand, it's also hindered a lot of the progress in this case. You guys have to understand the power of social media. As many people as there are out there trying to do good, there is just as many trying to hurt. The mother has even stated that there are so many GoFundMes that have been set up in her name that don't even belong to her. There are people who even went as far as saying that Monifa, the best friend, had killed herself, and you guys think I'm kidding when I'm saying hundreds of thousands of people have believed this. You know, there's so many people out there doing good, but there's so many people out there using this for the most disgusting reasons I have ever seen. There have been so many incriminating screenshots from all the friends. There's names being called out, and for legal reasons, I'm not saying a single thing because I am not about to slander people that I do not know. As much as I do think something went very wrong here, and my personal opinion is that she possibly could have been drugged or possibly mixed the wrong things together while trying to have fun, you know, I am not about fake BS, and that's why I did not include any of the things that are circulating in social media in regards to the friends and calling people out and screenshots saying this person knew this or this person sold her for this. Like, it's just madness, and it's nothing that I can actually back up. Mother and other activists have begged the FBI to get involved, but the police department in Rosemont have told them they've got the case under control. There have been multiple different protests, and I hate even using the word protest because it is seen in such a negative light now. Every single one of these protests has been incredibly peaceful. The mother has been doing nothing but, you know, telling everyone to remain calm and to do this peacefully and do things the right way. You know, she's had to deal with a lot of BS with, you know, people calling her out for trying to cause problems, and she's really not. She's just trying to find answers along with everyone else who's supporting her. Teresa Martin's lawyers have said that they will be doing their own investigation, and they are really looking into getting a second autopsy, which I personally think is a great option, and it could lead to more answers. It just does not sit well with me. You know, from the get-go, there are just so many red flags in this case. There's definitely something going wrong. I don't think it's nearly as extreme as a lot of people think. I think that they will find answers. I think that all the truth will be revealed. I do think there was something weird going on. So let me know what you guys think down below. There's a ton of information I was not able to include in this, or it would have been insanely long. Let me know if you can debunk any of those theories with your own personal knowledge. Let me know if you've seen the footage, what you think of it, your personal opinion. Do you think there was foul play, or do you think it just unfortunately was her getting trapped in a freezer? I'm gonna try not to get super emotional. I've tried to film this part like 5 times already, but I have not been able to not cry every other time, so let's hope I can do it. I have not lost a child, but I have watched my parents lose one, and I have lost a sibling, and my heart truly goes out to her family. Get it together, holy smokes. My heart goes out to her family and her friends and anyone who knew her. She was a beautiful girl. She had just gotten a new job. She had a whole life ahead of her, and I have been through an experience where my sister and my parents' child has gone through a horrific death, and a very bizarre death, and it's terrible. And I understand completely what this family is going through in my own way, and I extend my sincerest apologies to them. Clearly, I'm not good at not being emotional in this video, but I'm so sorry for the loss of Kenneka. I am so sorry for the pain that this family is going through. I hope that in one way or another, something is found and something is done, because there is something so not right with this case, and she deserves so much more than that. And before I turn into a complete and total mess, I'm just gonna go ahead and end this video. Let me know what you guys think down below. Please, if you pray, if you just want to send positive vibes, just send whatever you can to this family and to everyone who is investigating this, the police officers, everyone involved. Just pray or send good thoughts that this case ends with more answers and it's not just swept under the rug and lost like so many other cases are. But thank you guys so much for watching. I'm sorry, I'm a freaking mess. I tried not to do this, but it just didn't work. Don't forget to check out all of my social media, even though you can't take me seriously right now, I'm sure. Subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.